Brilliance Audio presents Fool Me Once by Harlan Coben. Performed by January Lavoie. They buried Joe 3 days after his murder. Maya wore black as befitted a grieving widow. The sun pounded down with an unflagging fury that reminded her of her months in the desert. The family pastor spouted the cliches, but Maya wasn't listening. Her eyes drifted to the schoolyard across the street. Yes, the cemetery overlooked an elementary school. Maya had driven past here countless times, the graveyard on the left, the elementary school on her right, and yet the strangeness, if not obscenity, of the placement had never really registered with her before. Which came first, she wondered, the schoolyard or the cemetery? Who'd been the one to decide to build a school next to a cemetery, or vice versa? Did it even matter, this life-ending and life-beginning juxtaposition, or was it, in fact, somewhat poignant? Death is so close, always, a breath away, so perhaps it was wise to introduce children to that concept at an early age. Maya filled her head with inanities like this as she watched Joe's casket disappear into the earth. Distract herself. That was the key. Get through it. The black dress itched. Over the past decade, Maya had been to 100+ funerals, but this was the first time she'd been obligated to wear black. She hated it. To her right, Joe's immediate family. His mother, Judith, his brother, Neil, his sister, Caroline, wilted from the combination of high temperatures and deep sorrow. To her left, getting antsy and starting to use Maya's arm as a rope swing, was her and Joe's 2-year-old daughter, Lily. The parenting cliché states that children do not come with instruction manuals. That never seemed more true than today. What, Maya had wondered, was the proper etiquette for a situation like this? Do you leave your 2-year-old daughter at home? Or do you take her to her father's funeral? That was an issue that they didn't cover on those know-it-all, one-size-fits-all mommy websites. In a fit of pity anger, Maya had almost posted that question online. Hi, everyone. My husband was recently murdered. Should I bring my 2-year-old daughter to the graveyard or leave her home? Oh, and clothing suggestions? Thanks. There were hundreds of people at the funeral, and in some dimly lit corner of her brain, she realized that this would have pleased Joe. Joe liked people. People liked Joe. But of course, popularity alone wouldn't explain the crowd. Mourners had been drawn in by the horrible lure of being near the tragic. A young man gunned down in cold blood, the charming scion of the wealthy Burkett family, and the husband of a woman mired in an international scandal. Lily wrapped both arms around her mother's leg. Maya bent down and whispered, "Not much longer, sweetheart, okay?" Lily nodded but held on even tighter. Maya stood back at attention, smoothing the itchy black dress she'd borrowed from Eileen with both hands. Joe would not have wanted her in black. He'd always preferred her in the military formals she'd worn back in the days when she'd been Army Captain Maya Stern. When they'd first met at a Burkett family charity gala, Joe had walked straight up to her in his tails, given her the rakish smile. Maya hadn't understood the term rakish until she saw that smile, and said, "Wow, I thought the turn-on was supposed to be men in uniform."